Oh hey, it's been a while.
Yeah, I thought I might check up on you, see how you're doing. So, how's life in America? It's going pretty well. Living the American dream. So, anything happening in your life? Well, London hasn't really provided that much adventure. Oh, I did watch the new Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, The Running Man. The Running Man? That came out ages ago. Are you sure? It just came out last week. No, I'm pretty sure that movie was released sometime last year. No, you must be thinking of something else. So, what's been happening over there in England? Oh, I just watched the new Disney film, Aladdin. Aladdin? Dude, Aladdin is not new. That came out last year. Okay, no. You are definitely joking. I'm not. I'm telling you, that movie came out last year.
Nah, mate, you are talking nonsense.
So, any new stories over there in the UK? I just watched the newest Disney film, a Goofy movie. Newest? Are you serious? Oh god, what date now? Oh, I can tell you this one. It is, April last year. What? April last... Are you serious?
Yep, absolutely. I actually remember what...
You know what bugs me? International release dates. It's not a big deal now, but back in the noughties it was noticeable, and it was even worse in the earlier decades. You would think, for Hollywood films, they would release them first in English-speaking countries because there wouldn't be any extra work for subtitles and dubbing. Maybe some cutting here and there to avoid an age certificate too high, but that's about it. Well, how very, very wrong you are to believe that. And I'm talking about the UK, Ireland, Australia, even Canada can get screwed, and they're right on the border. Those examples I showed at the start were the pretty bad to worst case scenario possible. But what are reasons for this? There's no established text for this kind of thing, so you just have to find whatever's out there. Let's start with a small point. Economic efficiency. During the time of analog projection and 35mm reels, studios would print a limited number of reels for their highest value market. In a Hollywood scenario, that would be America. And when the film finally leaves theaters in that market, they clean and refurbish the reels and just send them overseas. Here comes a big point. Competition. Some films that are in the same genre and/or with differing amount of star power might have to be released at different times to prevent any problems to its box office performance. You would want that competitive edge, not just for your film, but the rival film would want that too. Unless of course they have a lot of confidence that their film will leave you in the dust financially. Take a look at Olympus Has Fallen and White House Down. Both films were released within 3 months of each other. Box office wise, White House Down grossed more, but Olympus Has Fallen was more profitable after breaking even with the budget. So, who really won? Let's take a bad example. License to Kill was released in the UK and the US on the 14th of July 1989. However, competition specifically in the US included Lethal Weapon 2, Ghostbusters 2, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, and Batman. This resulted in becoming the least successful Bond film financially in the US, adjusted for inflation. In the UK it didn't, because the American competition was released separately there. But in the US, it could have needed a delay. But then there are times when distributors have less confidence on a comfortable release date. For example, let's take Predator, the other Arnie film of '87. It was released specifically on the 12th of June in the US. For star power, only Stallone could rival Schwarzenegger at the time. But his film was released in February of that year in the US and April in the UK. Plus, it wasn't as action-packed as Predator, so it definitely was not competition. For the action genre as a whole though, there was plenty of competition. The Living Daylights was released first in late June, which would have covered most of July too. Lethal Weapon was released in August, Full Metal Jacket was released in September, Beverly Hills Cop 2 was released in mid-October and had outstanding box office success, remaining in the top 3 of the UK box office weekend until mid-December, based on the research I found. Other mature blockbusters like Fatal Attraction and other films that were just as violent as Predator like RoboCop came out the following year in the UK. In the end, it was actually released on the 1st of January 1988. So yes, for the entirety of 1987, the UK went a whole year without Arnold.
Arnold! 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 Get to the chopper! Hey, Arnold!
In its defense though, from the research I gathered, Predator did actually get 2 weeks at number 1 at the UK box office weekend. The same number of weeks as Beverly Hills Cop 2. So maybe it was a good idea to delay. Next point, popular release windows. Nowadays this makes complete sense. Summer blockbusters for summertime. Christmas films for Christmas time. But then there are other specific types of films that can have specific release dates. The Monthly Film Festival has an article about dump months, but specifically talks about when award-winning films are released. The peak period for quality film releases in the UK usually ranges from November to January. Most were released before Christmas so as to not come into conflict with other distractions that the festive period might present. And some will come out in early January, usually with a small delay compared to releases in the US, in order to generate further buzz and maximize its award potential. Because, you know, awards ceremonies are around the start of the year. For this point, I'm going to use Jaws as an example. Now, we all see Jaws as the first summer blockbuster, releasing on the 20th of June 1975. Some other countries got Jaws in June, then there were 2 European film festivals in September, and then a whole bunch of worldwide releases from late November to around January of 1976, before later releases were less consistent. The UK release was on Boxing Day. Throughout its run, it apparently never left the top 3 on the UK box office weekend. Of the 2 films that overtook Jaws, one was an award winner, The One Who Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Now I'm going to rewind a bit and just go back to that small point of generating buzz, because sometimes that can genuinely be part of the marketing strategy, creating word of mouth before a film is actually released in another country. For this smaller point, I'm going to pick a film that actually worked on me for generating buzz. School of Rock. A 4-month gap between a US and UK release, but because there was a song tied to the film, I heard that song on music channels before the film was actually released. And because of that, I was somewhat hyped for the film. Thanks, Kerrang and Scuzz. Here's another point. Initial success. Distributors can wait and see how well a film does domestically before making a move. Some films may not do well. A distributor will probably look at that and think, well, if it doesn't do well here, how will it handle an overseas market? Or, because distribution is a very expensive part of the industry, it may not have made enough money to cover expenses for wider releases, so it may just go straight to VHS or DVD. Now this usually happens to independent films or films on lower budgets, and I'm talking about under $20 million for 90 standards. American Beauty waited until January of 2000 before releasing outside of North America. And you can tell it was well planned because the release dates weren't ridiculously spread out, with most overseas releases out by April. The UK was sitting nicely in February. Also, if Napoleon Dynamite didn't have the commercial and critical success it had during its run in festivals and theatrical release in the US, I don't think it would have even had a wide UK theatrical release. With all that being said, let's apply that to a Goofy movie. I'd like to remind you that the time between the US and UK release was 18 months. 18 months. I'm not aware of anything worse. Even Australia got it before Canada. So imagine taking roughly a 1.5 hour trip from Vancouver to Bellingham in Washington State just to see a film 13 months before it's released back home. Perhaps it's not that simple, but it's funny to imagine. Apparently the film had an okay box office performance, 35.3 million domestically from a budget of only 18 million, but apparently did really well when released on VHS in September of 1995, supposedly becoming a sleeper hit. Now I'm just speculating here, but maybe, from those strong home media sales, that might have given the distributor a bit more confidence for a wider release. Now when it comes to competition, back in the day, there would have been the occasional non-Disney animated film, but it wasn't frequent, so the only competition Disney had was Disney itself. Interestingly enough, there were multiple Disney animation studios that handled different things. At the time, Walt Disney Animation Studios produced all the Renaissance stuff, While Disney Toon Studios was given all the direct-to-video sequels, very rarely did Disney Toon Studios do any feature films, but a Goofy movie was one of those exceptions. The main Renaissance films that were released at this time were Pocahontas and The Hunchback of Notre Dame, both respectively released in the UK on the 6th of October 1995 and 19th of July 1996. Not only that, but Pixar was the next big thing with Toy Story, which was released in the UK on the 22nd of March 1996. Now looking at IMDb, I'm already aware that European distribution of a Goofy movie started in Italy on the 6th of June 1996, already 14 months after its original release, so let's forget Pocahontas and Toy Story. Now, The Hunchback of Notre Dame was still being released in UK cinemas all the way till the 13th of September, so a Goofy movie's release date would have had to have been pushed beyond that point, giving it its October release. So, did this really late release date make some sort of benefit for the box office performance? Absolutely not. The highest position the film ever got on the UK box office weekend was 6th. Competition included The Nutty Professor and Dragonheart. Now I've got all this box office information from 25thframe.co.uk, but there is this wiki page with no references, which I completely know is unreliable, but with some extra digging, I believe it was referencing IMDb. You see, IMDb had another set of UK box office weekend results. While their results were more surprising, to say the least, I have a hard time believing them. According to them, a Goofy movie managed to hit 1 week at number 1 on the UK box office weekend, beating all competitors. To go further, while 25th Frame claims Pocahontas and The Hunchback of Notre Dame had 3 and 1 week at number 1 respectively, IMDb claims they didn't get a single week, with Pocahontas being beaten by Mortal Kombat at one point. If IMDb results were the truth, I would be so happy, but I just have a hard time believing. But it doesn't stop there. Even though the UK and Ireland were the last European releases for the film, it still wasn't the last official release. You see, Singapore finally got a Goofy movie a whopping 25 months after the US release, on the 15th of May 1997. That's the last release date IMDb can pick up. There are so many oddities I can talk about with the film's release dates, but I'll be here forever. Besides, when it comes to foreign countries with completely different languages, I'm sure release dates could be worse than that. Now, while some delays are intentional, why have delays shortened over the decades? Well, there's one big point.
Do what you want, 'cause a pirate is free. You are a pirate. You're hard-fitted indeed. Being a pirate is a wretched deed.
Piracy. Now, with the huge rise of digital piracy, someone can pirate an American film and distribute it to any other English-speaking country, potentially reducing the revenue made from other English-speaking markets. Release them all at once, and you make money from all markets at the same time. Piracy will still be a thing, but would you rather have all markets get a little bit screwed, or have one market get a little bit screwed while the rest get screwed more? Nowadays, delays are no longer an issue. English-speaking countries get English-speaking films pretty much the same time as America, either on the same day or perhaps a week later most of the time. Pirate copies aren't available immediately after first release, but maybe a few days or a week later, and foreign countries with different languages can get English-speaking films pretty much the same day, or at worst, a month or two later. Now, I'd just like to add something. This is not just an English problem. Other languages can do this too, like, take City of God, a Brazilian film, so Portuguese. It was released in the UK before Portugal, apparently. But I must praise some film distribution in the 90s, because some of them did get it right. I've used this film in another video, but I'll use it again. Good old classic Con Air. Released in the US, UK, Ireland, and Canada on the same day, 6th of June 1997, and Australia on the 17th of July. Most foreign countries even got it within June to August, the summer timeframe, with only a few released later. That is the tightest film release window I've seen from a 90s film. That's nearly the standard today. Like I said at the start, even in the noughties it was noticeable. Finding Nemo had a near 5-month gap. I could go on forever, but I've said enough, so let's conclude. Back in the day, worldwide film distribution for Hollywood films was a bit of a mess when it came to dates. Other English-speaking countries had to wait a fair bit for a release date. 3 months, 6 months, 10 months, 18 months? You just couldn't know. But at least there were reasons. And with that being said, I'm out of here. Actually, wait. Let's go back to 1989. So, what have you been up to recently? I just watched this amazing new, how do I describe it? Racy comedy drama? It's called Do the Right Thing. Oh, you finally got around to watching that then? What do you mean? It only came out on the 21st. What, this month? No, that can't be right. It came out last month in the UK. Wait, last month? Are you shitting me?
Nope, even I remember seeing it back then.
Hello? Ha!
Thank you.